On the evening of July 31st, 1976, a storm of unimaginable fury unleashed its wrath on Big Thompson Canyon, forever altering the lives of those who lived and traveled through the narrow gorge. In mere hours, a flash flood, fueled by an extraordinary downpour, would devastate the Colorado landscape, claiming 143 lives and etching the flood's memory into the heart of the community. It started like any other summer afternoon in Big Thompson Canyon. The air was thick with the warmth of the day, the kind of dry heat that settled into the bones. For the residents of Estes Park and the tourists heading toward the foothills of Colorado's Rocky Mountains, the sky was largely clear. But by late afternoon, the weather began to change. Dark clouds gathered ominously over the rugged, towering cliffs of the canyon. At the heart of Big Thompson Canyon, the Big Thompson River was no more than a serene, meandering stream, flowing gently through the valley. People had traveled here to take in the spectacular scenery, marveling at the steep rock formations that rose on either side. For some, it was just another peaceful evening along the road. But the storm that rolled in was no ordinary one. It wasn't a thunderstorm that would quickly pass. This was a rare, violent storm that would dump nearly 12 inches of rain in just a few hours. In an area already known for rapid weather changes, the rainfall was unprecedented, and the result was a flash flood that would sweep everything in its path. Around 6:30 p.m., the floodwaters began to rise with terrifying speed. The Big Thompson River, which typically flowed with a manageable current, suddenly swelled into a raging wall of water. Rocks, trees, and debris were torn loose from the mountainside, and the canyon's steep slopes funneled the floodwaters into an unstoppable torrent. Within moments, the narrow canyon turned into a death trap. The floodwaters, racing down the gorge at speeds of up to 15 miles per hour, consumed everything in their way. Bridges were ripped from their foundations. Vehicles were overturned and carried downstream, and homes were crushed beneath the sheer force of the water. What made the disaster even more terrifying was the complete lack of warning. The flood came without the kind of advanced forecasting systems we rely on today. By the time the waters began to rise, there was little time for anyone to react. Those trapped in the canyon found themselves with no escape route, as the flood surged down, swallowing the roadways and washing away anything in its path. The flood claimed 143 lives, making it one of the deadliest flash floods in U.S. history. Among the victims were residents of the canyon, tourists, and passers-by. Many of them were in cars traveling along U.S. Route 34 or stopping at scenic spots along the way. Others were trapped in their homes or businesses as the water rose too quickly for them to seek higher ground. The damage was immeasurable. Entire buildings were swept away, while homes and businesses were left in ruins. Over 400 structures were destroyed, including roads, bridges, and vehicles. The flood's destruction left the canyon and surrounding areas unrecognizable, a haunting reminder of the power of nature. The aftermath of the flood was no less harrowing. Rescue teams quickly mobilized, but the task ahead of them was overwhelming. The floodwaters remained treacherous, and the rugged terrain made search and rescue operations incredibly difficult. Helicopters were brought in to reach areas cut off by the rising waters, but it took days for the full scope of the damage to become apparent. Despite the chaos, survivors emerged, clinging to trees or scrambling to higher ground. Some were rescued from rooftops or even from the remains of vehicles. The flood survivors, many of whom had lost loved ones, struggled to come to terms with the enormity of the disaster. The Big Thompson flood didn't just change the landscape of Colorado. It altered how we understand the risks of flash floods and how we respond to them. In the years following the tragedy, the event became a critical case study in the science of flood forecasting. It prompted the development of more advanced early warning systems, better floodplain management, and the enforcement of stricter construction codes to minimize damage during future events. For Colorado, the flood was a grim reminder of the power of nature, especially in narrow, mountainous regions where flash floods can develop with little to no warning. The event spurred improvements in flood prediction technology, and the importance of public awareness about the dangers of flash floods became clear. But it also highlighted something else: the resilience of a community. Despite the heartache and the destruction, those who survived came together, supporting one another in the aftermath of the disaster. The bravery of the emergency responders, volunteers, and survivors became a beacon of hope in the midst of tragedy. Today, a memorial stands near Big Thompson Canyon, honoring those who lost their lives that fateful night. The Big Thompson Canyon Memorial serves as a reminder not only of the flood's devastating impact, but also of the collective effort to learn from the past and prepare for the future. For the families who lost loved ones, for the survivors, and for the generations that followed, the Big Thompson flood is a story of unimaginable loss and unparalleled strength. It serves as a powerful reminder of how unpredictable nature can be, and how, in the face of disaster, the human spirit can endure. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Big Thompson flood. Have you ever experienced or studied a natural disaster that changed the course of your life or your community? What do you think we can learn from events like this to better prepare for the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If you enjoyed this story and want to stay updated on more fascinating and thought-provoking tales of nature, science, and history, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.